Every year we play this one really good spread team, and this past season they actually implemented a zone read. It was pretty basic. They were just reading our defensive end opposite of the halfback side. Basically, this was their primary formation. They ran, I would say, 60 to 70% of their plays out of this spread look. They also would run this exact zone read. They'd bring the slots in, make it almost a 2 tight end look, more of a compressed formation. They'll take the slot, put him over there, go 3 wide. They'll move this kid in, so they'll have trips to one side and the tight end to the other. Then they'd run the zone read to the tight end side, which the few times they did it, they had decent success because, that tight end allowed them to get another blocker at the point of attack, and having a tight end does create some alignment conflict, but most of the time, 7 out of 10 times, they're going to run it out of this look. They would always have a really good athlete at quarterback, which is why I think they like to run it out of this look, because they really want to spread us out horizontally. So a lot of times this kid would pull it. He wouldn't even read our defensive end. A lot of times he would just fake to the halfback and pull it, run outside. So when they spread us out horizontally, he had options to run in or out. But defensively, again, this is how we align to it. We played a cover 3, basically. 2 outside backers have flats. They have hook and curl zones, and our corners and safety have deep thirds. Now, again, on the zone read, they were reading our defensive end. If he crashed down or was even flat-footed, quarterback would keep it. A lot of times I felt like they didn't even read this kid. They just want their playmaker to get the ball in space, regardless if this kid sits or not. But a lot of times they did actually read it. If he slant down, he'd pull it. If he stayed upfield and really contained, like we had him do sometimes, he would hand the ball off. But what we did which really ate this play up, and I'm expecting them to adjust to this upcoming season, but because they're very, very well coached. And what we did is we have an indie call, where we would slant our defensive end in, and we'd loop our outside linebacker, and our linebacker would take quarterback, and our DN would slant down. Now, this play worked very well for them because this play side tackle would work onto the linebacker, and if they're able to get that kid blocked, which is one of our better players, we would have some problems. So what we did is we would do indie, and we'd have our DN squeeze down on the offensive tackle that's releasing. So when you squeeze down, you alter his path and you don't allow him to get right onto the linebacker. Which, anytime the lineman blocks down, you want to teach your kids to squeeze. But, the quarterback would read our end. We'd squeeze this every time. We'd loop around, so their quarterback's reading our DN slant down. He's going to pull it right away. So, and then, we allowed to get one of our better athletes versus one of their better athletes rather than having to make our DN make a play in space. Now, another way we defended this, when this worked really well, they started just handing the ball off. So we really needed pursuit to the ball. So we'd slant him. This is actually our storm call. Again, we'd slant and squeeze. He would be free to support. A lot of times we send this kid, especially if this is the boundary, which is the short side of the field. We would send our weak side backer almost every time, because you don't really have to cover the boundary side flat. You would get more of a hook. But we'd slant this kid in. He'd play run. And we'd send this kid off the edge, and he would now be responsible for the quarterback. Now, I was a little worried when we called this storm, because we were vulnerable. I mean, they could fake the zone read, have him come up and just hit a quick pop. We could have a bubble off of this, especially these corners are 8 yards. They're bailing out, playing their thirds, because they did run a lot of go routes. So we definitely had our corners in cover 3. Like I said, a quick bubble would hurt, quick screen, or even a quick pop. So I was a little nervous, especially on the storm. When this kid reads pass, he has to replace this outside backer's responsibility. And a lot of times, I don't think he'd be able to get out there, especially with a run fake. He'd bite up, and then it'd be too late. But this was a good wrinkle. We changed it up on them, and you know, we did a pretty good job. Once in a while, you know, they'd pop a big play with their quarterback. You know, their athletes would bail them out, but for the most part, we did a fairly good job. I mean, on the outside, they would run off. They'd run off our defenders. Once in a while, they would send this kid to crack. He would crack our looper, or he'd try to crack our looper, but our outside backers are very physical and didn't allow for any inside releases. So that didn't really work out well for them. But you know, just basically a simple slant and loop outside is a great way to defend.